So what is up, guys? We're doing another dramatic lighting angle one. We've got my welding bend test over there. We've got my Nipsey Hussle poster in the background. Nipsey was one of the greatest artists to have ever lived. I just love his music. I love his introspection. I love his creativity, his entrepreneurship throughout his life. The guy was an absolute legend, and he will be missed. But having said that side tangent, I want to talk about savior complexes, hero complexes, specifically how the world is not yours to save, especially if you're of the wavelength I'm talking about. When we look around, we have basically two tiers of people. People who are hypnotized and caught in the social media and all of the endless entertainment, dopamine hits, and don't really do anything with it. And then there's, I'm going to actually go with three types of people. Then there's the people who see what's going on, but choose to get black-pilled with. And then there's a third type of person who understands what is going on, understands that there's a lot of people caught in the social media trance, that there's a lot of people who aren't part of the social media groups and choose to get demoralized by them. But then there's some people that look at the situation and salvage what they can out of it. You know, basically the life's what you make it type. And I think I'm actually one of those three consciousness types. I'm that top one, because I see a influx of knowledge that a lot of people are looking at their computer screens and not paying attention to it. And when I say you can't save the world, I'm saying you can't control things that are out of your control. The only things you can do is control what's in your vicinity and make your quality of your life better. I think that's the best course of action for just about anyone who's around here. Because you could either sit and get demoralized by the dystopia we live in, or you can choose to use the dystopia to make things better. Sometimes I view people who are endlessly stuck on social media scrolling and looking for their next dose of entertainment as a blessing. One, there's not a whole lot of competition out there in the world anymore because everyone's glued to their phones. And two, there's a big audience to be had. And I'm not saying, like, if you're into like these types of videos, this kind of video is not for everybody. But understanding what we live in and understanding that it's only going to get crazier from here. I think us as human beings have gone so far down the rabbit hole that there's no going back. And you could beat your head over the wall hoping it changes. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't think it will. Because I've had a foot in all sorts of worlds. Political ideologies, spiritual groups, and everything like that. And I kind of see a lot of the pot calling the kettle black, especially with the dating pandemic, right? Because there's one group where you have all these women who believe that there are no good men out there and that all men are dangerous. Like when you look at, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear, right? That spoke out to me because it showed just how scared of men some women are, whether they've actually had experiences that have led them to believe how bad it could get. And then they are radicalized by internet ideologues that get them to think that, yeah, no, all people of my gender are dangerous. When really that's not the case. Not every guy out there is dangerous and abusive and untrustworthy. Some are. You know, there's a lot of them out there. Just like as a guy, when I hang out with other guys, even after I got out of my last relationship, I didn't really get black-pilled over it. I said, I just am grateful that I'm not with this person anymore because they've shown that their world is twisted and possibly going to be going on in circles. My world doesn't have to go that way. The world overall, that's in God's hands. But I didn't want to look at every woman out there and think that they're all bad. Why? Because what if I do find that right person? What if I do meet someone who wants to be in a long-term relationship with me and wants to be long-term committed, and I completely pass that person up because I have this idea in my mind that all women are bad? But that's how a lot of men feel. Obviously, I understand where that mentality comes from, because if you look at the dating culture on both sides, it's an absolute disaster. We as men and women absolutely hate each other. And it gets to the point where you think, is it even worth stepping outside of this box? And my answer to that question is, when you step outside of the box, sometimes it's worth it. Now, I understand. I'm not saying let your guard down. I'm not saying don't have boundaries. In fact, I'm saying the complete opposite. Have boundaries. Have litmus tests. Have red flags you look for, whether it's partners, friends, jobs, trades, anything you want to get involved in. And also make time for doing what you like. Because that's one thing that I've learned this week, is I might as well do what I like and make time for what I want to do. Because life is too short and the world's become so unpredictable that I could build something out of something that I felt I had to do, and then the very next day, and I've forgotten to live my life. I'm not saying that's the case, but it puts things into perspective. You get so busy wanting to make a living that you forget to live. You forget to do what you like to do. You forget to practice what you want to practice. You forget all that stuff. However, I am very grateful when I came to this realization that the world's not mine to save, because I used to have a really bad hero's complex. I used to want to see everyone succeed. I used to want to see everybody come to terms with their negative sides, overcome it, and come out better people. And I realized one day that just wasn't going to happen. Why is that? Human nature. Human nature. Not everybody's going to look at themselves in life. You know, in fact, most people aren't. Most people are never going to, especially now onward. Most people are going to never put down their phones. They're stuck in this digital realm. And if you have unplugged yourself, one of the things that I like to hear from these manosphere talkers is the Matrix. Because that's the perfect thing for this thing we're all plugged into. And if you could unplug yourself from the Matrix, there's a really key point in that movie where it says, if you're not one of us, you're one of them, meaning don't interact with the people who are still plugged in, because they will fight to defend that system. Some people it is too late for. And it's an unfortunate set of news. Actually, it's too late for most. It's an unfortunate breakthrough to have. But once you swallow that pill, the ugly truth that, one, you are not the hero. Two, you cannot be the hero. You cannot pull everyone else, shake them out, because you are wasting time that you could, be using to build yourself up. You feel my drift? That's time that you could be using to make yourself valuable. And honestly, I think that's the thing, is once you see that someone around you in your circle has a flaw or something they got to overcome, you have to let them take time to figure it out on their own. Because if you keep letting them back in with that ugliness, they're going to keep tearing you down. And it is a slippery slope. A lot of people like to say that's a logical fallacy, but it is a slippery slope. But I want to conclude by just saying, once you realize you can't save the whole of the world and you can only save your world, that's when the rebirth begins. Peace.